I'm Dr. Joel Wallach, and today we're going to talk about cholesterol. Everybody knows the cholesterol. Everybody knows the cholesterol myth, and it is a myth. It's kind of interesting that the Eskimos above the Arctic Circle have a legendary diet that's 98% red meat and blubber. They eat nothing but whale meat and whale blubber, walrus meat, walrus blubber, seal meat, seal blubber, bear meat, bear fat. They don't eat any organically grown broccoli or carrot juice. Their blood cholesterol ranges from 250 to 350, and they're legendary for not getting cardiovascular disease until they come down to the lower 48 and eat like us. And as we teach them how to eat like us, suddenly they get all the cardiovascular disease that we have. Now, when you look at another view of the cholesterol myth, one of the things I have a lot of experience at is doing autopsies. I'm a pathologist as well as a veterinarian and a physician. And I've done as many as 17,500 autopsies in over 454 species of animals and 3,000 human beings for comparison. And what I learned was that every animal and every human being that dies of natural causes dies of a nutritional deficiency disease. And this brings us to the cholesterol connection. You would think that if cholesterol and saturated fat and animal fat was the cause of plugged arteries, arteriosclerosis, atherosclerosis, that it would be the bobcats and the foxes and the wolves and the lions and tigers and bears that would have the plugged arteries, because they're the meat eaters. Those are the ones that eat red meat and fat. But on the other hand, the actual animal that gets the high rate of atherosclerosis and arteriosclerosis are pheasants and sheep and goats, the ones who eat nothing but grains and grasses and hay and so forth. And, of course, this leaves you with a quandary, because why would herbivores get arteriosclerosis and atherosclerosis and all the carnivores don't? Well, the reason is, of course, arteriosclerosis and atherosclerosis are not caused by elevated blood cholesterol and triglycerides. Let's look at cholesterol first. It's actually a steroid. It's the raw material that we make things in our bodies with. I believe that cholesterol is an essential nutrient, just like the omega-3 essential fatty acids and the omega-6s and vitamins and minerals, amino acids, that cholesterol is in fact an essential nutrient. And I believe in the next few weeks or years, certainly they're going to declare officially, quietly, that cholesterol is an essential nutrient. We can't make enough to fulfill our needs. We must consume it either as meat or eggs or dairy products or chicken skin. We have to take in some cholesterol someplace. If you look at male hormones, testosterone, female hormones, estrogen and progesterone, if you look at adrenal hormones, these are made up of cholesterol. It's a basic raw material that all our hormones, well, I can't say all our hormones, but it's a basic raw material that our steroid-type hormones are made from. Cholesterol, even vitamin D. The chemical name for vitamin D is 7-hydroxycholesterol. All right, cholesterol is not bad. Now I want to take you to house painting. I know this sounds weird, but I'm going to take you to house painting, because when you paint a house, the entire house is made from the same batch of paint. Either you have 10 1-gallon cans of paint, it's all the same batch number, or you have two 5-gallon cans of paint, which are all the same batch number. You paint the entire house, and it's a 5-year paint. But after 2 years, the southwest corner of the house powders, blisters, and flakes, where the rest of the house paint lasts for the 5 years. Why is that? Well, it's because the intensity of the ultraviolet light in the afternoon sun is much greater than it is in the morning sun. Everybody knows that. You want to go out in the morning sun. You don't want to go out in the afternoon sun. Well, the same thing is true of cholesterol. When you're looking at LDL, the low-density lipoproteins, which is the bad cholesterol, and the HDL, the high-density lipoproteins, the good cholesterol, the only difference is the LDLs have been damaged by free radicals, trans fatty acids, heterocyclic amines. That's the only difference. In actuality, low-density lipoproteins and high-density lipoproteins are the same. It's just the LDLs have been damaged by free radicals. Eating French fries, eating fried foods of any kind, fried chicken, fried fish, chicken fried steaks, eating fried okra, croutons, anything that's fried, you're going to find that it damages the good cholesterol and converts it into the bad cholesterol. Otherwise, cholesterol is cholesterol is cholesterol. And so cholesterol in of itself is not bad. It's an essential nutrient. and it's the fact that we allow it to get damaged. So we have to do several things. Number one, we have to continue taking in cholesterol to meet our needs, but secondly, we have to make sure that we have the antioxidants, which are extremely important. I believe that antioxidants are the fifth group of essential nutrients behind vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, and the antioxidants. We cannot make them. They're required for life. If you don't have enough of them, you get these horrible collections of degenerative and disabling diseases, many of which are life-threatening. So they fit the definition of an essential nutrient. There's over, 25 diseases. There's over 25 diseases that I know of that have been created in the last 50 years because physicians in industrialized nations, primarily in America, these physicians have not only encouraged but instructed and demanded that their patients give up cholesterol, restrict cholesterol, lower their blood cholesterols, get it out of their diet, don't even walk in the same room with it. And as a result, there's been 25 new diseases, everything from seizure disorders to dementias and so forth. And I'm just going to pick one of them. This disease was a disease that did not occur 40 years ago. Even by another name, this disease did not occur. And it only became recognized as a new disease in 1979. Today it's the number 4 killer of adults over the age of 65. In 1979 it was just discovered. It's primarily an American disease. It occurs rarely, if ever, in third world countries. It doesn't occur much in Europe. I'd say 75 to 80% of the cases of this disease occurs only in the United States. The rest of it occurs spread through Europe and maybe 1 or 2 percentage points in third world countries. This disease is called Alzheimer's disease. And the reason is 75% of our brain weight is a fatty insulation material called myelin, and myelin is almost 100% cholesterol. You can only make about 10% of your daily need. The other 90% must come from your food. If you're very, very good at giving up red meat, eggs, butter, and other dairy products, and chicken skin, you're going to be one of those people who are highly likely to get Alzheimer's disease. Remember, 40 years ago, Alzheimer's disease did not occur, even by another name. It only became recognized as a disease, a new disease, in 1979. And that's because by that time, people have been giving up cholesterol for about 25 years, and so as they passed over the years, it began to show up. Well, they're projecting now, the experts are projecting that between now and 2025, 14 million Americans are going to die of Alzheimer's disease. Well, 25 years ago, only about 250,000 died of it. 25 years before that, it was 0. It's not a genetic disease. There's been some great studies on cholesterol and Alzheimer's disease. We've actually eliminated Alzheimer's disease in animals some 60 years ago with proper supplementation of cholesterol, with proper supplementation of the omega-3 essential fatty acids and the right ratios of omega-3s and 6s. And also, we learned that by using actually high doses of antioxidants, that we could in fact prevent, significantly reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease. And when you have it, you can actually get back function. Wonderful studies starting in 1992 at the University of California, San Diego, and the Salk Institute, famous for the Salk polio vaccine. They took a large group of people who had advanced Alzheimer's disease, gave them nothing but large doses of vitamin E, and within months they were able to function again. They were able to do things. They were able to dress themselves and show vast improvements in memory. Nobody wanted to believe that because everybody wanted to believe that Alzheimer's disease was a genetic disease. So they reworked the study and redid it, and it came out in April of 1997, University of California, San Diego. And they found out that they could reduce the need for nursing home care for Alzheimer's patients. They could delay it by 5 or 10 years. And would that be beneficial, both emotionally and financially, for a family to delay the need for a nursing home for an Alzheimer's patient by 5 or 10 years? They could still be functional during that time, recognize their family? Absolutely. Why don't doctors say this? Why don't doctors share this information? Even more recently, in January of 2004, the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine and their Department of Public Health did a long-term study on almost 5,000 people, both men and women, over the age of 65 in Cache County, Utah. And what they found out was if they supplemented with nothing but vitamin C and vitamin E, it reduced the risk of Alzheimer's disease by as much as 78%. Almost 80% reduction in the risk. That they weren't even telling them to eat eggs. They were not telling them to avoid fried foods. They were not telling them to avoid margarines and other foods that produce free radicals. And so if you eliminate fried foods, margarines, cooking oils, if you eliminate eating meats cooked well done and getting rid of all the, or at least significantly reducing all of the free radicals out of your life, and then supplementing with the essential fatty acids, supplementing with the antioxidants, and yes, actually eating, I like my patients to eat 2 to 4 to 6, depending on their body weight, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 eggs a day. Personally, I like to eat about 6 eggs a day. And remember that cholesterol is an essential nutrient. And if you get on an extremely low cholesterol diet, or if you're very, very good and you're able to get it on a cholesterol-free diet, you're going to wind up with one or more of these 25 cholesterol and fat deficiency diseases. Okay, and we're talking about Alzheimer's. To me, Alzheimer's is the worst of them, and it's totally avoidable. It's not genetic. We eliminated it in animals many years ago, and I believe we can eliminate Alzheimer's disease in America and other industrialized nations in just 6 months to a year. Very simply eliminated. And when you look at cholesterol in another way, cholesterol is absolutely required for fertility. Again, it's a major component of male sex hormone and female sex hormones. One of the reasons why people have trouble with impotence, for instance, is that they don't have enough cholesterol to make male sex hormones. And I get this complaint from women all the time. My husband's just not interested in chasing me around the kitchen anymore. And I say, well, do you have him on a low cholesterol? Oh, yeah. I follow his doctor's instructions perfectly. No butter, no eggs, no red meat, no chicken skin. And, I mean, we have him on a high carbohydrate diet, no fat, absolutely no animal fats whatsoever. And he just doesn't seem interested. Well, you start giving him 4 eggs for breakfast. Don't fry them. Don't serve them sunny side up or over easy. You want to serve them either poached, and you can add some hot sauce to make them flavorful. You can actually make them soft scrambled in butter at low temperatures. You could, for instance, serve them soft-boiled or hard-boiled. And if you do that, you'll find that he's getting interested again. Things will begin to happen when you insert the cholesterol into the system. Now, one of the early warning signals that the cholesterol in your body is being damaged are liver spots and age spots. When you have 6 of them on the outside, you have millions of them on the inside. And, of course, the eye is an extension of the brain. And when you have a damaged cholesterol reserve in your body, you're not taking in enough of the antioxidants and you're consuming too many free radicals, you start getting these liver spots and age spots in the skin, millions of them in your brain, millions of them in your eyes, heart muscle, lungs, kidneys, liver, bone marrow, every place that can be damaged by these free radicals or damaged cholesterol will, in fact, show these collections of age spots or liver spots. The actual chemical name of this material is called ceroid lipofucsin. And it's kind of this golden brown color. It's not a freckle. It's a golden brown as opposed to a freckle. It tends to be a different color, totally different look to it. And they indicate that you have damaged cholesterol in your body. You have an extremely high risk for Alzheimer's disease. You have an extremely high risk for macular degeneration, cataracts, cardiovascular disease. You have an extremely high risk for cancer because if you damage the cholesterol in your body with free radicals, you're at high risk for cardiovascular disease. And so it's the damaging of not only the fats in your blood, but also the lining of your arteries, the coronary arteries, the arteries in your brain, with these free radicals and the free radical damaged cholesterol, which is the problem. That's how you get plugged arteries. That's how you get atherosclerosis. That's how you get arteriosclerosis. And it was kind of fun. Actually, way back in 1971, I actually published a huge scientific article in an international human pathology journal going back to 1971. And this is where I learned very clearly, doing the autopsies, that It was the animals that ate grain and grasses and hay that actually got arteriosclerosis. It wasn't the animals that ate red meat and fat. If you think about it, everybody has a relative who's lived to be 80 and 90. Many of them went on to live to be 100. And they'd cook 4 eggs for breakfast in lard or butter. They ate their chicken skin. They ate butter instead of margarine. They didn't have margarine in those days. And they did everything wrong. They smoked. They made alcohol or whiskey behind the barn. And from the time they were 16 years old, they were drunk every day for the rest of their life. And they got hit by a car at 102, crossing the street in the wrong place, jaywalking. Then when they did the autopsy on them, their arteries were still clear. Now, how can they eat all the bad stuff and smoke and drink and still have clean arteries, still be thinking sharp? Well, that's because they had this cholesterol. They were taking in antioxidants. They were eating lots of fresh vegetables out of the garden. It was actually fertilized with wood ashes. They were fertilizing their garden with wood ashes, which are the minerals that are left over when you burn away the carbon in the wood. They were mixing wood ashes in their food as culinary ashes. They were cutting their salt with it. And as we switched over to other fuels, suddenly now we didn't have high quality fruits and vegetables anymore. We didn't have minerals in these fruits and vegetables. And fruits and vegetables cannot make optimal amounts of antioxidants without mineral cofactors, because nothing in our bodies, nothing in the plant biochemistry or metabolic systems will work properly without mineral cofactors. So minerals are extremely important to reduce the risk and actually eliminate arteriosclerosis, atherosclerosis. And cholesterol, again, is the big myth. It's the boogeyman. It's been made into a boogeyman. And it's really sad when people take cholesterol-lowering drugs, the statin drugs, and they do that. They actually can get their cholesterol down to 104, 110, 120, and doctors are joyful. Well, you're going to be on this drug for the rest of your life. That's because they actually get either a kickback or some kind of funding as a research associate, if you will, for the pharmaceutical companies for prescribing these statin drugs to lower cholesterol, when in fact lowering cholesterol has little or nothing to do with the production of arteriosclerosis and atherosclerosis. You have to avoid the free radicals, and you have to actually consciously consume cholesterol. You can't damage it by frying it. You can poach it, roast it, bake it, stew it, and but you can't damage it by frying it or cooking it in margarine. And then cholesterol is safe. And then you have to, again, supplement not only with all the known essential nutrients, you have to supplement with the phytonutrients known as antioxidants. And when you do that, when you supplement with the antioxidants, that actually protects the cholesterol, so you have a higher grouping of good cholesterol. You want to have 3 times as much HDL as you do LDL. That's the correct ratio. And you do this by taking in lots of antioxidants, lots of green leafy vegetables, lots of tomatoes, lots of red things, yellow things. And that's why we need the carotenoids, flavonoids, bioflavonoids. You want things like rutins out of the citrus fruits. And then, of course, in green tea, we have some wonderful antioxidants known as catechins, or EGCGs. And this is one of the reasons why the Japanese, they are heavy meat eaters, they are heavy fryers. The Japanese actually will smoke, and they're heavy drinkers. And yet they have 85% less cardiovascular disease than we do, 85% less cancer than we do. And so this myth of cholesterol is just that. Cholesterol is a myth, and the whole society in industrialized nations, number one is America, of course. And if lowering cholesterol was the answer to health and longevity, then we should be number one, because we spend more time and money getting our cholesterol down than any other nation on earth, yet we rank 26th in longevity. There's 25 other countries whose peoples live longer than we do. The people in the third world countries don't get Alzheimer's disease. They don't get arteriosclerosis and atherosclerosis. And do you think that they give up animal fat? Do you think they avoid eating eggs? Do you think they don't eat butter? They eat all that stuff. And it's very, very important. But they also drink a lot of green tea. They also eat a lot of vegetables that come from gardens that are fertilized with wood ashes. And so these are very simple things that we can do to eliminate the unnecessary cost of this huge segment of our industry, this medical profession that we have. We can actually reduce it, I think, by 75 to 80%. And that's a big picture, because we're talking about $1.8 trillion, that's with a T, $1.8 trillion for the medical system in America. We rank 26, so we know we're not getting our money's worth. We still have a growing rate of cardiovascular disease, especially arteriosclerosis and atherosclerosis. And the medical system's view of dealing with it is to lower cholesterol, put in stents into coronary arteries and carotid arteries, which are just little springs that they put in the artery to kind of keep it open from collapsing. And we have to remember, when you deal with a plugged artery simply by putting a little spring in a 2 or 3 millimeter blockage, you're not dealing with a systemic problem. You're still going to get Alzheimer's disease. You're still going to get arteriosclerosis in the arteries that feed the kidneys. You're still going to get arteriosclerosis in the arteries that feed the brain. You're going to get all kinds of other dementias. You're going to get things like senile dementia. Senile dementia, of course, is just plugging of the arteries, whereas Alzheimer's disease is a disease of the myelin, or the fatty insulation material, which is almost 100% cholesterol. So you have two different dementias, and a lot of doctors will misinform you and say, well, we had Alzheimer's disease 100 years ago. No, we didn't. It was senile dementia, which was the plugged arteries. And we have to appreciate that if you take in the antioxidants, you avoid damaging the cholesterol in your brain, you avoid damaging the cholesterol in your blood, and you avoid damaging the cholesterol in your diet. Take in those antioxidants, no frying, you will have a great life. You'll be 110 years old and still able to learn how to fly.